Hey everybody, it's a week before Thanksgiving and the snow is going to be flying soon enough, and I got that CR250 just sitting out there in the backyard, and I'd like to get that end under cover before winter hits and not have it sit out under a tarp all winter. So the only thing keeping me from being able to roll that thing around really is the rear wheel being off, and I haven't put the rear wheel back on because, of course, this bike being in pieces when I got it, sure enough, one of the things that went missing is one of these. This is the rear axle, and then here's the nut, which was also missing, but I ended up lucking out at my local Fastenal and getting a nut with the proper thread. And this is I believe this, if I recall correctly, this is a self-locking nut, yeah. So this is a nut that is specially designed so that even though it'll thread on, it will actually tighten. It'll go on tight, but it will end up not being able to loosen on its own easily. But these push blocks, for lack of a better term, have to do with the chain tensioning, and it's a different setup than what I typically see on motorcycles. Typically I see almost like a banjo bolt type of setup that actually pulls back from the rear of the swing arm. You have a nut that you tighten on the bolt, and the bolt would pull back on this part, or actually it's the bolt. And let me see. All right, kind of like a deal like this. Only imagine this is a flat piece of metal with a hole in it that the axle goes through. And then what would happen is on the back of the swing arm, you tighten the nut, and that would pull this back, and that pulls the whole wheel back, one on each side, so you can balance it out. Well, this has got kind of a different deal here. This has got these blocks that go on here, and then there are actually bolts that thread through from the front, I believe, that push on this spot right here, and these kind of ride almost like in a track on the swing arm. So I haven't checked, or maybe I did and I just didn't like the price, but either this isn't available separately or they were kind of expensive for what it is. It's just a little block of aluminum. So I figured, hey, why not make my own? So I've got, from my cutoffs pile here, I get this little piece of aluminum, and it's almost the perfect thickness. I could actually mill it to the exact thickness if I wanted to, but I don't think I need to, because the only difference that's going to make is that the bolt won't tighten on all the way as far, but I mean it'll still be far enough. And the other thing too is there's a little bit of a curve on the back of this, and I actually don't think I need to really worry about that. And if I do, I can actually grind this. I can do this by hand, by eye on the grinder to mimic what's going on there, this little bit of knocking off these corners. So I'm just going to cut myself a piece out of here, mill this little shelf here on both sides, drill a hole, and it should be easy enough. When I hold this on here, this hole is actually at the edge of this large hole, but it doesn't. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Once I bore this hole, that hole's going to disappear, is what I'm saying. So I'm not worried about that either. All right, so just stuck this on here, and I eyeball the mark right here. I'm going to leave myself about 1/8 of an inch extra, because I know when I get done cutting this with the saw that it's not going to be perfectly straight on that line, so that'll give me the ability to throw this thing in the mill and actually square up that face. And that's not going to be actually that critical, but now that I look at it, it doesn't look like this end is square. You know, get a better square. Just curious. Alright, so I'll square this edge to, well, actually that's rough cut on that side too. I'm going to clean up all these edges, I guess. Well, actually, that's going to get milled. Most of this is going to get milled away anyways when I cut that shelf. Huh. So I'm not going to get too hung up on that. Yeah, there's so many ways I could handle cutting this, rough cutting this. You know, in a perfect world, I'd have a metal cutting bandsaw, and I actually bid on a horizontal bandsaw, nice, decent sized one. It's a I forgot what brand name it was, but it looked exactly like the older Johnsons. And I think when I looked it up, it turned out that this company, I think, bought Johnson, so they changed the name from Johnson to whatever this company was. I was at a local Volktech school. It was on one of the municipal auction websites. So I was watching the auction, and it got down near the end there, and it looked like it was going to go, so I bid on it $225. So I raised the bid just to figure out how much it was. I think it was at $200. So I hit it for $225, and I immediately got notified that I was outbid, which means that whoever had their bid on there, they had already put a larger bid on there in case somebody came along. And I said, well, you know, I could pop it one more time and see what happens, but I just figured, you know, odds are, I don't know, I just didn't think I was going to get it anyways, so rather than drive the price up for no good reason. There'll be others. It was kind of a big one too. It was 3-phase, so I knew I'd have to get a converter or do something to, you know, take care of that. So figured, what the heck. Horizontal bandsaw. If I had one of those for metal cutting, that would be nice. Something small like this. I could even use my portable Milwaukee bandsaw. I haven't used that since I bought it. That'd be, this would be a perfect job for that, maybe. But this is just aluminum. It's so soft and easy to cut. Now, I had some WD-40 around here. Oh, here it is. What? Yeah, I'll be up in about 10 minutes. Alright, so the first cut I'm going to take is just on the side with the saw cut I just made. I can see I'm pretty far off the line up here, so that's the high side, that's the low side. So I just touched off on the low side, and now when I go across, it should get me fairly parallel to the other side, which is straighter. Then I'll flip it over, repeat the process, and I'll have two parallel sides. I'm going to use the I still don't have an outlet over here, a 110 outlet over here, so I gotta set up a cord so I can use my cable feed. Boy, that finishes a lot nicer. I think I'm going to feed in that direction and take a light cut on the other side to clean the other side up. Alright, so this will be the final pass on this side, and then I'll have two parallel sides that are smooth, and I'll use that to square the other sides. This is probably going to be a little bit narrower now than the other block, than the original, because I'm taking another pass that I didn't plan on taking. It's a little undersized, it'll still work. I'm just going to use this small precision vice jaw that I have, because it's narrow enough to fit between the jaws when I'm clamping on this, and use that to square this up. Alright, so the problem I was just having was I wanted to use a square. The problem was that the square is too thick to fit down between the jaws when it's clamped down on this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these chips out of there. Just stick these packings in here. If I wanted to get really finicky, I could put the indicator in here and indicate along this edge while moving the quill up and down. But I don't really see the need for that. That ain't working out so great either. Alright, if I move the packings over, there we go. That's close enough for me tonight. Let's see how I did. I just took a couple minutes. I threw this in the bench vise and used the deburring tool. Got some of these nasty burrs off the edges. And then I held the original piece onto it and I used a scriber and I scribed the line. Basically traced out the design of the original piece. So I'm just gonna use that line and eyeball this to cut this notch on this side, and then I'll flip it over and do the same on the other side. Again, this isn't anywhere near as critical a part as some of the other types of parts you make. I have trouble seeing that scribe line. I could see the horizontal one, but where it went vertical there, I was having trouble seeing that. Yeah. Alright, so I've got the depth of my notch right where I want it. And what I did was I pulled the cutter down so it just makes contact, and I've set my depth stop up here on the quill. So now I know exactly, when I flip this over, exactly how far I want to go down. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribe a line going across here so I can try and make this dimension here pretty much match that dimension. I could set up a stop. Oops. But I'm not going to do that. Alright, so I just held the original piece over this, eyeballed where the center was, used my automatic center punch to make a mark, and now I just line the drill bit up with that mark, and that's going to be close enough for me. I once heard Mr. Pete talk about how he likes these little stubby drill bits. Now I know why. Makes getting them in and out of the mill a lot easier. I already bored it a couple more times, so this bit that I've got in here now is close to the finished size, but I can't find one as large as this. This is probably metric. I'm hoping, oops, wrong way. I'm hoping maybe it'll fit through this hole once I'm done. Hey guys, believe it or not, it is November 28th, I think. It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and I am just now getting back down here to the basement to finish this little project, this little block for the CR250 rear axle. Ended up just getting over a bout of pneumonia that had me laid up for the whole week, and My 11-year-old son also was out of school this week. Luckily, it was only a 2.5-day week because of Thanksgiving break, so he only officially so far missed 2.5 days of school. Looks like he's going to be out tomorrow though, because he's still not over this thing. I'm faring a lot better than he is, so he's going back to the doctor tomorrow. Anyways, it's first time in my life I've ever had pneumonia, and it was not pleasant. So, and I'm actually still a little kind of weak, so I'm not going to really do much down here. I'm just going to wrap this thing up, and then I'm going to go up, and the wife made Thanksgiving dinner for our supper tonight, since we had to cancel our regular Thanksgiving with the family because of all the illness. But enough about my problems. So I finally found a drill bit that appears to be the correct size. It seems to fit perfectly through here, and doesn't quite fit through the hole that I drilled so far in that homemade block. The only bad thing is it's a 4-flute drill bit, but I don't think that's going to be an issue because I've got this thing counterbored so close to my finished diameter anyways. And not only that, but this is soft aluminum, so I think these 4-flute drills are actually designed for this kind of softer metal anyways. The main issue I was thinking about with this kind of a drill bit is the angle of the cutting lip on the drill is much shallower than on a conventional drill bit. So that's the only issue I thought I might have. But we're about to find out as soon as I figure out where I last put down my safety glasses. I guess we'll fire up the VFD while I'm looking for those. Wrong way. It was easy peasy Japanesey. I think what I'll do now is I'll get a counter bore and deburr that hole. Oh, turns out I could have left this collet in there. I don't have to get too overzealous with tightening that. Got to table up. So just got some outside edges to dye. Some outside edges to deburr, and I think this will be good to go. Test fit. Oh, you stinker! Oh. That's the problem with this being metric. I'm not quite there yet. Guess I should have checked that before I bothered deburring it. Oh, I found one more drill. It's just a tiny bit bigger than the hole I've got now, so I think this might do it. Problem is the size of the shank on it. I don't have a collet that will fit this, and I don't have chuck that will take this and fit in the mill. Believe it or not, all those chucks and everything I don't have the combination I need. See, collets here are too small. This is 5/8 collet